As you're choosing, implementation methodologies and approaches, and whether you're going to try to do a big bang versus a continuous improvement, a rapid implementation versus a traditional implementation, there are a lot of different factors which could impact your choice. We already talked about like the templated approach, best practices within an industry, but there are really a lot of other factors which could uh, im- impact your decision on how you want to implement. Um, are you coming from a single system, or are you coming from multiple systems? If you're coming, let's say you're a company that came together by bringing together three smaller companies, and each one of those had their own system. Well, then it's much easier to do a rapid implementation for one of them as a pilot program than it is to, let's say, replace all three at once, right? Much more disruption to your business. And then this way you can have people from all the companies still working on that first one, creating this template that they think is going to work for all, and then you'll be able to rapidly deploy them in series rather than all at once. A very viable approach. Um, but you also have to have the key people available to make those decisions. I was working with a company once, and there was really one person who was the gatekeeper. The whole reason that they were doing this re-implementation was because they had this one guy who knew everything, and everybody had to go to him. So they wanted to get that knowledge out of his head and into a system, and yet he was not making himself available. So the rapid implementation approach was not working because we couldn't get the information out of the one person's head. And that's a pretty extreme example, but the availability of key personnel is also really important, especially if you're going to be doing one of those rapid implementations, which is more of a self implementation, where that knowledge needs to come out. Um, and we talked a little bit about the uh, ability or the availability of people within your organization to work with the consultants, but also whether they have systems implementation experience. So if you're implementing a let's say a mid-market package, like an SAP or a NetSuite or an Acumatica or even a Sage Intact, these um, programs typically are using queries like database queries, questions of the database, as the basis for custom reports or dashboards or alerts or approvals. And if you have somebody within the organization who understands those, then the consultant can teach that person how to create those, and you could have a more rapid implementation by getting the day one requirements in, and then having that internal champion, that internal expert, write those additional queries, dashboards, and things as you go along. Again, rapid implementation, quicker ROI. But if you don't have that and you have to wait for the implementer to do that and pay the consulting rate for each one, it's going to impact your decision, as well as just the probably the primary consideration is the complexity of your internal business processes. The more they match the out of the box system, the easier it is to do a rapid implementation. But if you're trying a rapid implementation, the consultant doesn't really know what those complexities are, right? It's amazing how many people think that what they do is normal, and isn't that what everybody does? But if it's really unique to your organization, then that gives you a competitive advantage. Well, then the out of the box solution might not work for you. So that's another reason to maybe do a blueprint or a discovery phase before choosing whether you're going to do a rapid implementation or a traditional implementation, to kind of figure out which one is better for you. Um, Another one is data conversion, right? Data conversion is one of those um, tasks within an implementation, which is often a wild card, right? The organization who's helping you implement your new system doesn't know how clean your data is, how complex your data is, and they may not know the system that your data is coming from. So if you can find a consultant who knows both the source and the destination systems, data conversion becomes easier. But I was working with a customer who had bought a NetSuite from NetSuite, and they were supposed to be going live the next week, and they hadn't seen their data yet because the consultants hadn't converted it. They were just working with demo databases as they learned the system in this rapid implementation program. And then as the data started coming in, it was like, oh my God, this is wrong. And that was because the rapid implementation program didn't understand, in this particular case, how inconsistent the data was in the source system, right? Um, so the more data you need converted, and we often recommend don't convert data if you don't need it. Put it in a database, write queries so that you can access that data. Um, the better off you're going to be because it's going to cost you less and improve the speed of your change. Um, and the final factor that I want to talk about today is really the flexibility and adaptability of your culture. Right? I'm working with a client right now who has really, they're a great client. They have really good people consistent throughout the organization, and they're really curious. They're open to learning how they could do things better. Um, the challenge is always getting their mind to shift from the way we've always done it to the way that we could do it, but they're open to it. And the more flexible and adaptable your culture is within your organization, the easier it will be to embrace the change and go with a rapid deployment approach. I hope these factors kind of spurred some thought in your mind about how you should work on your next improvement project. And hopefully, you're always working on improvement projects. Even if you have one that really needs a more traditional approach, even after that project is completed, you're going to need to continuously improve it because if your organization is not growing and adapting, it is most likely withering and dying. So, anyway, I hope this was useful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact me. Visit our website, www.i-bn.com, or subscribe to our blogs, visit our YouTube page, and good luck on your next improvement project.